You know, I've made it no secret on this channel that I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I mean, you can just look at the merch behind me, or the fact that my favorite video game of all time is Sonic Adventure, or the fact that I'm drinking from a Sonic the Hedgehog mug, or, no joke, I am currently wearing Sonic the Hedgehog socks. Yeah, your boy has a bit of a problem. But I also have a problem with garbage news articles and outlets that don't know what they're talking about, namely Screen Rant. They are just one of the worst, especially when they give you articles like this right here. So yes, welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and today we're going to be covering a Screen Rant article with an absolute garbage take about the source material and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But before we get into that, if you could do your boy a solid, hit that red subscribe button. I am trying to get to the 2,000 subscriber mark before the end of the year, and with less than 400 subscribers left to do so, I think we could do it. I'd appreciate if you hit it, and you know what? I'm going to bring you the nerdy news almost every day, sometimes multiple videos a day, just for doing so. It's a sweet deal. Let's get on to the article, shall we? Sonic the Hedgehog 3 won't fix this franchise complaint if the Shadow Tease is anything to go by. The Shadow Tease at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 means that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will continue the biggest problem with the franchise. Well, what is the biggest problem with the franchise to you guys? I mean, off the top of my head, it's got to be that, I don't know, Jim Carrey's Eggman isn't very fat. I mean, yeah, that's not particularly accurate to the source material, but, hey, they gave us a good reason for him to be called Eggman with his egg-shaped robots. What about the fact that there's next to no music from the Sonic games in the Sonic movie? Alright, yeah, we got a little bit of Green Hill Zone at the end of the first film, and that's it. I could stand to hear more game-referential music in these films. What about how many humans there are? I mean, yeah, alright, Sonic 2 did have that one portion of the film that was just, it was too human-centric at the wedding. It was getting real old real fast. But there are some, very prominent human characters in Sonic the Hedgehog. So what is the main problem with the franchise, according to Screen Rant? Something dumber than anything that I just listed. The mid-credits Shadow Tease at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has set up the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 to continue the biggest problem with the live-action franchise. Starring Ben Schwartz as the title character, Sonic the Hedgehog movies have adapted the beloved video game series into typical talking animal movie. The Sonic movies are so much more than just a typical talking animal movie. Minus Detective Pikachu and Warcraft, and even those are debatable, we had never had a good live-action video game adaptation before in film. Period. None. There might be some you like. You might like Mortal Kombat. You might like Street Fighter. You might like Resident Evil. All well and good. But they were not well-done adaptations, and more importantly, they weren't good films. Now, I personally like Warcraft. I think Warcraft is a good film. I understand that no one in America did. Good thing China saved that movie. What about Detective Pikachu? Well, I like it, but once again, that one's it's pretty tough to juggle. But people mostly universally loved the Sonic movie, so much more than they thought they would, by the way. That movie made bank at the box office, especially with the goodwill the studio built up in the fans for going back and changing the design, for actually listening. And then you had the sequel, and the sequel made even more money, and people absolutely loved it. It also was even more true to the source material, only improving on, in most aspects, what the first film had done. So what do you mean it's a typical talking animal movie? I guarantee you, we would not have had such a strong turnout for the Super Mario Bros. Movie earlier this year if the Sonic films hadn't already laid the groundwork for it. So no, it is not more than a typical talking animal movie. It's a lot more than that, and you should put some respect on it. They're a lot of fun, especially with Jim Carrey's scene-stealing turn as Dr. Robotnik, but they haven't come close to exploring the full potential of the classic source material because the movies have remained tethered to Earth. Now, I want you to remember they talked about this. Classic source material. These individuals know nothing of the source material. And I'm going to go through and explain to you how I know that, because I've already read this article because it infuriated me so much I wasn't going to cover it. My Sonic the Hedgehog videos almost always perform like trash, but you know what? After the video earlier about the Jax films and Cyberwolf stuff, I got some getting even to do, I got some stuff to get off my chest, and I got a vent about how much this author of this article knows nothing about Sonic, but claims to be an expert in the subject. Well, let a real Sonic fan educate you. You talk about how the movies have remained tethered to Earth. Almost all Sonic games take place on Earth. And before you go, but Leon, what about Mobius? I'm going to stop you right there. The Sonic comics, yeah, those take place on the planet Mobius. But the Sonic games, They take place on Earth, and it's explicitly stated it's Earth. You have some one-off games like, Sonic Colors that do take place on another planet, and, it's explained that Sonic goes, to the planet of the Wisps or whatever. But in general, the vast majority of the Sonic games take place on a varied version of Earth, a version of Earth that is, for the most part, like ours, but with other lands and areas as well that make it a bit different. It is still Earth, though. The first two Sonic movies were resounding successes at the box office, so it should come as no surprise that Paramount's working on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The threequel is set to be released in theaters on December 20th, 2024, with Schwartz reprising his role as Sonic and Idris Elba reprising his as Knuckles. All right, just no love to the voice actress that plays Tails. Why? Because not a famous film actor. It's the actual voice actress from the games. By the way, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Let's throw a bone to her. Colleen, would love your work. Yeah, just ignore her because she's not a famous film actor, I guess. But give the love to Idris and Ben Schwartz. The mid-credits scene with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 set up Shadow as the villain of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But that means the threequel will perpetuate the Sonic movie's worst trend. And as mentioned before, the trend is that it's staying on Earth. A trend, I don't know, that actually is a trend in the video games, the fact the Sonic games take place on Earth, but we wouldn't want our beloved video game adaptations to be, beholden to the source material, the things that fans are actually fans of, what the paying customer wants to pay for. Shadow's introduction means another Earth-based story for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. In the mid-credit scene of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the Guardian Units of Nations, GUN, the shady organization hunting Sonic, is revealed to be working on Project Shadow. The result of this project is, of course, Shadow the Hedgehog, the evil version of Sonic who plays a major antagonistic role in the games. Full stop. Right here, I'm proof that you do not know the source material. You say above, the classic source material. Then you show your lack of knowledge by saying the evil version of Sonic. Shadow is not evil Sonic. He is his own character. He's not evil Sonic. There are versions of characters in the Sonic mythos that are evil Sonics. Shadow has never been one of them, and he's never played a major antagonistic role in the games. He has played a minor antagonistic role in one game, and then every game after, he's been Sonic's ally or a form of anti-hero akin to a Deadpool or a Wolverine. So there's no, you claim that you want to go ahead and follow the source material. Let's leave Earth. Why? Shadow was found on Earth. Shadow was found in a gun containment capsule on Earth, on Prison Island. And then, it goes to the moon. The game goes to Earth's moon because that's where Shadow was created. So why exactly are you wanting to leave Earth and, have Shadow be the evil Sonic when A, the game is supposed to take place, at least partially, on Earth, and the character was never evil Sonic? Don't try and claim you understand the source material if you don't. And yeah, I'm using Sonic as the example for this, but really this goes to anyone. This is for any of these, journalists, whether it be about film, movies, TV, what have you, that try and pull this crap. Whether it be about comic book resources and talking about the Marvel movies, or the Mary Sue and talking about Star Wars, Polygon talking about Legend of Zelda, these outlets that don't know anything about the actual source material, but want to pass themselves off as the experts and then make you, the actual expert, question them, and then they're just going to call you some negative name, an istaphobe, some sort of misogynist, an elitist, whatnot, when you call them out on their bogus. But there's going to be individuals who don't know much about Sonic, who might just take these words at face value, and when the individual up here talks about the source material, the person reading this is going to think, oh, this person must know what they're talking about when it comes to Sonic. They mentioned the source material. No, they don't. I can assure you, this person's a moron, and you are leading people who just don't know any better astray because you want to claim you're an expert on something you clearly know nothing about. You're writing this article to make a quick paycheck, to make a quick buck because you have an opinion that you want to fulfill. And you know what? That's fine. Fulfill that opinion. Everyone got opinions. If you can make money with articles making your opinions, go for it. I give my opinions on the internet and I get paid for it as well, as long as my videos do well. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, everything on this one. I'd like to get paid, especially getting paid to talk about how garbage their opinion is, because their opinion is based in understanding the source material when they clearly don't. That's a lie that they're perpetuating to get them to be taken more seriously. And I'm sick and tired of these journalists abusing fandom goodwill to lie about things like that and taking advantage of people who are not as entrenched in the fandom. Shadow is seen waking up from suspended animation in a containment capsule. The scene set up Shadow to be the main villain of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, replacing Carrie's Dr. Robotnik as the franchise big bad. Again, we don't know that either, because in the games, look, this looks like it's going to follow the Sonic Adventure 2 story based on the way that Shadow was introduced in the previous film. And maybe it's going to. If it follows the Sonic Adventure 2 story, Shadow wasn't the big bad. He was never the big bad. He was, secondary to Dr. Robotnik. And if I remember right, even Jim Carrey said that there's a chance he'd come back to Sonic 3 if, he was, that's the one movie that could bring him out of retirement is doing Eggman again in Sonic 3. So you can't say that Shadow set up to be the main villain of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. He wasn't even the main villain in the game that they're basing this off of. And once again, these movies have been relatively good at somewhat following the source material. The second movie more than the first, but yeah, it's followed the source material, and now that they're going to be adapting Sonic Adventure 2, that was an actual narrative-driven game. It actually had a legit story. It wasn't a 2D side-scroller, so it'll be very easy to follow the source material. But you either A, don't know that, or B, are flat-out lying. Either way, you're beholdenness to the source material, I'm going to call into question once again. You talk about how they need to, leave Earth. Why? This game's story, the game that they're going to be adapting to film, takes place on Earth. The opening level of the game is based on San Francisco. Shadow's role in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is set up yet another Earth-based storyline for a game that takes place on Earth until later on they go to the moon. But again, Earth's moon. Since the movie franchise has introduced Shadow as a creation of Gunn, his story is likely primarily to take place on Earth yet again. Which it should be, because Shadow was created by Gunn. He was created by Gerald Robotnik, who was working for Gunn. You're saying all this stuff as if it's negatives when they're actually following the source material. So many of us complain, Rings of Power didn't follow the source material. Ahsoka didn't follow the source material. When you got the Sonic guys, the people who were making the Sonic movies, for the most part, following the limited source material we have, considering, again, these were 2D side-scroller games at the time, not a lot of wiggle room for story. Now we've actually got a 3D narrative Sonic game being adapted to a movie, and there's plenty of source material to follow, and you're asking for something different. You are the ones poisoning this level of video game adaptation. The Sonic the Hedgehog games are full of exciting, visually stunning intergalactic worlds to explore on the big screen, but the movies seem content to keep Sonic stuck in a mundane, recognizable environments of Earth. What do you mean, stunning intergalactic worlds? Aside from Sonic Colors, give me another game where he goes to another planet. There might be one, but in the main Sonic timeline, I can't think of any. They all take place on Earth. Most Sonic games have some sort of desert level with pyramids in the background to symbolize Egypt. They have casino levels to symbolize, the nightlife of big cities. They have ice cap levels to symbolize the Arctic, but they're all variations on Earth. Like I said, the opening level of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Sonic Adventure 2 is based on San Francisco, and it very much shows. Emerald Coast is literally a beach level. The opening level of Sonic Adventure, it's a beach level, and it's a very fun, cool, crazy beach filled with enemies, but it's still a beach. Twinkle Park is literally a theme park level. It's a level that, you're running around in a man-made theme park. I don't know what to tell you other than Sonic games and Sonic levels in the games do take place on environments of Earth. I wouldn't call them mundane or recognizable. You could say maybe the movies are tame, making them too tame, but sure, just change it to where these environments are more video game-like, but still on Earth. You don't need to take it off planet when that's not what the Sonic games almost ever do. If you couldn't tell, I have a major problem with this article. The major problem I have, while I'm using Sonic as the example, like I said earlier, it's the problem I have with all these articles. You got people who are not experts, who are claiming to be, or worse, pretending to be experts about fandom, writing these articles, and it's making people who don't know any better assume that, if this is what the fandom wants, this is what the community wants, yeah, let's go ahead. I'm not an expert, so I'll leave it to the experts. No. Don't leave it to the experts. Leave it to people who have proven they're the experts. Because from what I can tell you from reading this individual doesn't know dick about Sonic. But the average normie probably is not going to know that from the context here in this article. So the question becomes, how do we gatekeep people like this from writing these sorts of crap articles that are going to end up trashing our beloved movies, TV, video games, the whole nine? Now, obviously, Hollywood has a lot of problems. You can point to the fact that there's woke ideology all over Hollywood. There's gender stuff. There's religious stuff, or lack of religion, I should say. There's the social and political stuff. And yeah, All of that's bad. I completely agree. I've made it my mission on this channel to fight against a lot of the woke agenda stuff in Hollywood. However, let's say we were to fix all that tomorrow. No more wokeness in Hollywood. But the adaptation still sucked, then we'd still be having bad products. I want good product overall. And one way to mitigate, bad product is to call articles like this out when they trash and denigrate our favorite fandoms and franchises when they claim to be fans of. I can tell you this is not a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. This is just somebody who wrote an article because they wanted to make some money. They don't care what it's about. They have no interest in Sonic. And again, for Star Trek or Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Doctor Who or any other fandom out there where you see this, it's got to be called out, because again, if the woke stuff disappeared tomorrow, we're still going to get crap movies and TV shows that they can't figure out how to adapt things in a way that the paying customer actually wants. But those are just my thoughts and opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about Sonic the Hedgehog or whatnot, despite my odd obsession with that little blue blur, but also about anime, music, video games, movies, you name it. It's all here in the nerdosphere. And this has been Words of Paradise.